It was a calm and peaceful atmosphere in the first-class cabin as Lena Davis settled into her seat aboard the luxury flight. Lena, a successful entrepreneur and the CEO of a rapidly growing tech firm, was accustomed to traveling in the most comfortable conditions. She was on her way to finalize an important partnership that would elevate her business to the next level. For Lena, this flight was an opportunity to unwind before the high-stakes meetings ahead. Her first-class seat, plush and spacious, gave her a sense of luxury and security. However, this tranquility was about to be interrupted. As the plane cruised smoothly at high altitude, a flight attendant approached Lena with an unusual request. The attendant, carrying an air of uncertainty, politely explained that there was a passenger in the cabin who wanted to take her seat. This passenger, a woman named Sophia Mitchell, was visibly frustrated and had apparently encountered a problem with her own seat assignment. Lena raised an eyebrow, puzzled by the request. Her seat was marked clearly on her ticket, and it was one of the most coveted spots on the plane. Sophia, a regular traveler with the airline and someone who held a gold-tier status, had come to believe that her loyalty with the airline entitled her to privileges that others didn't enjoy. Her complaint was that Lena's seat was somehow better than hers. She was adamant, expressing her belief that someone with her level of frequent flyer status should be accommodated in a more suitable seat, despite Lena's reservation being legitimate and clearly confirmed. Lena, taken aback by the request, remained calm. She had spent years building her business and learning how to handle stressful situations with poise and dignity. "I'm sorry, but this is my seat." "My reservation is in order," Lena replied, her voice composed but firm. She didn't engage in an argument but calmly explained the situation to the attendant. The flight attendant, sensing the rising tension, hesitated for a moment before walking away to consult with the supervisor. The moment was pivotal. For Lena, it was just another typical encounter with a request she would not entertain. But for Sophia, who was accustomed to her demands being met, it was an affront to her sense of entitlement. She was not used to being denied anything, especially not from someone who didn't share her status or expectations. This difference in attitude set the stage for what was to follow. Lena, still sitting in her seat, could feel the eyes of the other passengers subtly watching the exchange. There was an air of anticipation as the tension between Lena and Sophia began to mount. The atmosphere in the cabin shifted from calm to charged, and what had begun as a simple seat dispute was quickly turning into something far more complex. The flight attendants, visibly uncertain of how to proceed, now faced a dilemma. How to manage the growing conflict without escalating it further. Lena knew, as a seasoned businesswoman, that this was a matter of principle. She had earned her position and was not about to let her rights be undermined. Sophia, on the other hand, had a sense of entitlement based on her frequent flyer status. The battle of wills had just begun, and Lena was determined to stand her ground. As the tension built, the passengers around them began to whisper, some exchanging glances and murmuring quietly among themselves. The flight attendant soon returned with the supervisor, setting the stage for the next part of the unfolding drama. Below are the revised and expanded parts of the story using the new names and nouns, with the approximate word counts requested. Lena Davis was no stranger to success. As the innovative CEO of a leading technology firm, she had built her empire from the ground up through relentless determination and a visionary outlook. Today, as she settled into the comfort of her first-class seat on a transcontinental flight, Lena was filled with quiet anticipation. This journey was not merely another business trip, it was the final leg of negotiations for a groundbreaking partnership that could redefine her company's future. The cabin around her exuded sophistication. Soft lighting and spacious seats created an environment that allowed Lena to relax, review documents on her tablet, and mentally prepare for the high-level discussions awaiting her upon arrival. She had meticulously planned every detail of her trip, knowing that every moment of this flight could be critical for sealing the deal. Outside the window, the vast expanse of sky and scattered clouds provided a serene backdrop to her thoughts. Lena's flight was a blend of business and leisure. Between brief exchanges with friendly flight attendants and the quiet hum of the aircraft cruising at 35,000 feet, she reflected on the long hours of planning, the countless meetings, and the strategic risks she had taken to reach this point. Her journey was a testament to her dedication, a commitment that had earned her accolades in boardrooms and admiration from industry peers. In moments of solitude, Lena recalled the many obstacles she had overcome in her career. Each setback had only fueled her ambition, reinforcing her belief that success was a matter of perseverance and resolve. Now, as the plane continued its smooth path through the sky, she focused on the imminent opportunity that lay ahead, a chance to merge her innovative ideas with a partner whose resources and expertise could help catapult her company to new heights. Her thoughts briefly wandered to her personal life, too. Lena valued the balance between her professional pursuits and moments of personal fulfillment. Traveling in first class wasn't just a privilege, it was a well-deserved reward for years of hard work and determination. The luxurious surroundings, the impeccable service, and the quiet moments of reflection reminded her that every challenge she had faced was worth it. As the flight progressed, Lena organized her notes and reviewed the key points she planned to discuss during the upcoming meetings. The significance of this partnership was immense. It promised to open new markets, foster technological innovation, and position her company as a leader in the industry. Amid the hum of conversation and the soft clink of cutlery from nearby passengers enjoying their meals, Lena's focus never wavered. Her mind was sharply attuned to the details that could make or break this pivotal negotiation. In that tranquil yet purposeful moment, Lena Davis was not just a traveler in a luxurious cabin. She was a determined leader, poised at the intersection of opportunity and destiny, ready to seize the future with unwavering confidence. Not far from Lena's serene corner of the cabin, Sophia Mitchell sat with an air of growing discontent. Accompanied by her close companion, Mara Jennings, Sophia's demeanor contrasted sharply with the calm around her. Though both were seated in the same first-class cabin, Sophia's restless energy and frequent glances toward other seats betrayed her dissatisfaction. For years, Sophia had enjoyed the benefits of her status with the airline, a privilege that had afforded her comforts and perks during her many journeys. However, on this particular flight, she could not help but feel slighted. The seat she occupied was not as desirable as the one Lena Davis had. In Sophia's eyes, her gold-tier status was a symbol of her hard-earned achievements and deserved privileges. She believed that the airline owed her the best, and when her companion Mara observed the plush, spacious seat that Lena enjoyed, the seeds of discontent were sown. Throughout the flight, Sophia's frustration simmered. Mara tried to offer quiet reassurances, but Sophia's impatience grew. Every time she looked in Lena's direction, her dissatisfaction was unmistakable. In her mind, the seating arrangement was an affront to her loyalty and status with the airline. What should have been a straightforward travel experience was quickly turning into a personal grievance, a matter of principle, as far as Sophia was concerned. The issue was not just about comfort, it was about recognition. Sophia believed that the airline's loyalty program, which had once made her feel special and valued, was now being undermined by what she perceived as an unfair seating assignment. The feeling of being overlooked, despite her frequent travels and high-ranking membership, festered with each passing minute. The luxurious setting of the cabin only served to intensify her sense of injustice. Mara, always the voice of reason, attempted to remind Sophia of the overall travel experience. She pointed out that the service was impeccable and that the ambience of the flight was designed to make every passenger feel at ease. Yet, for Sophia, these reassurances fell short. The seat that Lena Davis occupied was a glaring reminder of what she felt was rightfully hers, a status symbol that validated her dedication to the airline. In hushed conversations with nearby passengers, whispers of dissatisfaction began to circulate. Sophia's discontent was not an isolated emotion, it was a spark that ignited a broader discussion about fairness and the treatment of loyal customers. Although her companion Mara tried to maintain a composed front, the air of tension around Sophia was palpable. Sophia's internal struggle was clear. She was caught between a deep-seated expectation of entitlement and the reality of a system that did not bend to her personal desires. This conflict, rooted in a belief that her loyalty should earn her the highest level of comfort, set the stage for the dramatic confrontation that was soon to unfold. Her dissatisfaction was no longer a private feeling, it was a public challenge to the established order of the flight, and it promised to escalate into a full-blown dispute. As the flight progressed, the tension in the cabin began to mount. Sophia Mitchell's simmering discontent reached a boiling point. It was no longer enough for her to simply express dissatisfaction through frustrated glances and hushed complaints. Determined to assert her entitlement, she decided it was time to act. Sophia rose from her seat, her posture rigid with resolve, and made her way toward Lena Davis's luxurious first-class spot. The corridor of the cabin, usually a place of quiet passage, now served as the stage for an escalating confrontation. Sophia's footsteps echoed as she approached Lena's row, her eyes fixed on the coveted seat. The quiet murmur of nearby passengers grew louder, a chorus of whispers that hinted at anticipation. It was clear that many were aware of the brewing storm, and all eyes were now fixed on the unfolding drama. When Sophia reached Lena, she did not mince words. "I demand that you relinquish this seat," she declared firmly, her voice resonating with the authority she believed her gold-tier status afforded her. Her tone left no room for misunderstanding. This was not a simple request, it was a bold assertion of her loyalty and an unyielding challenge to what she saw as an unfair allocation of privilege. Lena Davis, sitting serenely and reading through her notes, looked up with calm assurance as Sophia's words hung in the air. For Lena, the seat was more than just a piece of upholstered comfort, it was a testament to her hard work and a rightful reservation earned through diligent planning. "I'm sorry, but this seat is reserved for me." "My ticket confirms it," Lena replied evenly. Her response was measured, deliberate, and imbued with the quiet confidence of someone who had faced many challenges and emerged victorious. Sophia, however, was unyielding. "You must understand," she insisted, "that my loyalty to this airline grants me certain privileges. I have been a loyal member for years, and it is only fair that I receive the best accommodations available." Her argument was not merely about physical comfort, it was about respect, recognition, and the validation of her status. To her, the luxury of a first-class seat was a symbol of her commitment, a tangible reward for her frequent travels and the loyalty she had demonstrated over time. Around them, the atmosphere grew charged. Fellow passengers exchanged nervous glances while flight attendants paused in their duties, aware that the situation was spiraling beyond a simple seating dispute. The cabin, which moments ago had been a haven of tranquility, now buzzed with an undercurrent of tension. Sophia's demand was met with a cool, resolute refusal. "I understand your perspective, but I must adhere to the reservation system. My seat is rightfully mine, as confirmed by my boarding pass," Lena stated, her tone polite yet firm. She made it clear that her decision was based on established policies and fairness. Lena's calm and reasoned stance contrasted starkly with Sophia's impassioned insistence. For a few long moments, the two women stood facing each other, the conflict suspended in a silent standoff. Each was a portrait of determination, Sophia with her rigid insistence on entitlement and Lena with her unshakable belief in fairness and order. The surrounding passengers, caught in the tension of the moment, waited in hushed anticipation of what might come next. Sophia's eyes flashed with indignation as she reiterated her claim. "I have worked hard to earn my status, and I will not be sidelined by a simple reservation error. I deserve this seat." Her voice rose slightly, fueled by years of perceived slights and a deep-seated need for recognition. Yet, even as her words filled the space, Lena's reply remained calm, a quiet testament to her character and her resolve. The exchange had now become more than a personal dispute, it was a clash of ideologies. On one side was Sophia, whose sense of entitlement was deeply intertwined with her identity as a loyal customer. On the other was Lena, who believed that fairness and respect for established procedures should always prevail, regardless of status or past loyalty. The confrontation was emblematic of broader societal debates over privilege, entitlement, and the meaning of loyalty. As the tension continued to build, the cabin atmosphere grew increasingly uneasy. Passengers shifted in their seats, aware that the conflict might soon require intervention from the crew. Yet, in that moment, neither woman was willing to back down. Sophia's insistence was matched only by Lena's quiet defiance. It was a battle of wills, each driven by a different set of principles, and the stakes, in that confined space, were higher than either had anticipated. Ultimately, the dispute over the seat became a microcosm of larger issues, the interplay of power, recognition, and the fundamental question of who deserves what in a world governed by rules and status. And as their voices continued to rise and fall in that narrow aisle, the drama was far from over. In the wake of the intense confrontation, the cabin atmosphere remained charged with tension. The dispute over the coveted first-class seat had now attracted the attention of the flight crew. A seasoned cabin attendant, Jordan Reyes, approached Lena Davis with a calm yet determined expression. His task was clear: verify the seating arrangements and resolve the escalating conflict. Jordan, who had seen his fair share of turbulence both in the skies and in interpersonal encounters, began by politely requesting to examine Lena's boarding pass. His steps were measured as he approached, conscious of the stares from nearby passengers who were now watching every moment. Lena handed over her pass without hesitation. The attendant scrutinized the document carefully, checking every detail, from the flight number and date to the specific seat assignment. The official confirmation, stamped and digitally verified, left no doubt: Lena's reservation was entirely in order. While Jordan was reviewing Lena's ticket, Sophia Mitchell hovered nearby, her eyes narrowing in disbelief. For Sophia, this validation was not merely a formality, it was an opportunity to assert her own claim. There must be a mistake, she argued sharply, her voice echoing in the suddenly hushed aisle. I have a history with this airline that should count for something. I should be accommodated in a seat that reflects my loyalty. Jordan, maintaining a professional demeanor, explained, "Ma'am, all reservations are processed through our system. I have verified Ms. Davis's ticket, and it confirms her assigned seat. Our records are clear." His tone was respectful but firm, designed to quell any further dispute. Despite his explanation, Sophia remained unconvinced. She continued to insist that there was an error, her tone rising with each repetition of her claim. The cabin attendant then turned his attention to the broader situation, his role now shifting from mere ticket verifier to mediator in a growing conflict. "Please allow me a moment to consult with our supervisor," Jordan said, his voice steady. With that, he retreated momentarily to confer with his superior, a step that was meant to reassure all parties that the airline's protocols were being strictly followed. In the meantime, Lena remained seated, her calm composure unwavering. She observed the unfolding drama with quiet dignity, confident in the validity of her reservation and the procedures that had brought her this far. The soft hum of the engines and the subdued murmur of the other passengers created a surreal backdrop to the standoff between loyalty and policy. Sophia, visibly agitated, continued to challenge the system. "I understand that there are protocols, but I also know my worth as a frequent traveler," she declared, her eyes darting between Lena and the departing flight attendant. "This isn't just about a seat. It's about recognition and respect for the loyalty I've shown over the years." Her words, charged with emotion, resonated with a few passengers who had quietly listened to the exchange. Upon returning, Jordan's supervisor, a composed and experienced crew member named Rafael Ortiz, stepped into the aisle. Rafael immediately reviewed both passengers' details, his presence adding a weight of authority to the situation. "After reviewing the records, I must confirm that Ms. Davis's seat assignment is correct," he stated clearly. "All reservations are maintained according to the ticketing system, and any discrepancies must be resolved within those guidelines." His statement was meant to reassure the passengers that the airline was committed to fairness and that policies would be upheld without exception. Despite Rafael's reassurances, Sophia's discontent did not subside. She continued to voice her displeasure, arguing that her history with the airline should grant her additional privileges that might override a simple ticket number. Her persistence was met with sympathetic yet firm responses from the crew. Rafael reiterated, "We appreciate your loyalty, Ms. Mitchell, but our procedures do not allow for exceptions based on status alone." His calm yet unwavering tone left little room for further debate. As the verification process concluded, the mood in the cabin remained tense. Passengers exchanged looks of empathy with Lena, while others shifted uncomfortably, sensing that the conflict was far from resolved. Jordan's careful handling of the situation demonstrated the airline's commitment to both its rules and the dignity of its passengers. Yet, for Sophia, the explanation was insufficient, a spark that promised to ignite further conflict if not resolved in a manner that acknowledged her personal sense of entitlement. The meticulous verification of Lena's boarding pass had thus not only confirmed her right to the seat but had also underscored a larger issue, the tension between standardized policies and individual expectations. In that narrow aisle, where technology and tradition intersected, the stage was set for the next phase of a dispute that was rapidly evolving into something much larger than a mere seating error. Just as the verification of Lena's seat had begun to restore order, the situation took a dramatic turn. The calm atmosphere maintained by Rafael Ortiz and the crew was abruptly interrupted when a new figure entered the scene. Gabrielle Torres, a senior supervisor known for her firm yet empathetic approach, arrived in the cabin to address the rising conflict. Her presence signaled that the matter was now under serious review. Gabrielle's arrival was marked by an immediate shift in the dynamics of the confrontation. She listened intently as Sophia Mitchell reiterated her claim. "I've been a loyal member for years," Sophia argued, her voice tinged with both frustration and determination. "My status as a Platinum Elite member should guarantee that I have access to the best seating available. This isn't just a mistake, it's a clear oversight in honoring my loyalty." Her words carried the weight of years of dedication and the belief that she deserved more than what was being offered. Gabrielle, maintaining her professional poise, responded calmly. "Ms. Mitchell, I understand your concerns, and we value all of our frequent travelers. However, our seating assignments are based on a strict, impartial system that is designed to be fair to everyone." Her measured tone was intended to diffuse the rising tension, yet it did little to assuage Sophia's mounting indignation. Undeterred by Gabrielle's explanation, Sophia pressed on. She argued that her history with the airline should allow for flexibility in situations like these. "It's not just about a seat," she insisted. "It's about the recognition of my loyalty and the benefits I have earned through years of dedicated travel. I believe that my status should be respected, and that means receiving the accommodations that come with it." Her passionate plea resonated with some passengers, while others exchanged uneasy glances, sensing that the dispute was now reaching an impasse. Gabrielle listened carefully, acknowledging Sophia's concerns while reiterating the airline's policies. "Our records clearly indicate that Ms. Davis's reservation is valid," Gabrielle stated firmly. "We operate under a set of established guidelines that apply to all passengers equally. I regret that you feel your loyalty has not been recognized in this instance, but I must adhere to our protocols." Her words were not meant to diminish Sophia's feelings, but rather to emphasize that the rules were in place to ensure fairness and consistency. The exchange between Gabrielle and Sophia grew more intense as each side presented its perspective. Sophia's argument was laden with emotion and personal conviction, reflecting years of perceived neglect. Gabrielle, on the other hand, maintained an unwavering commitment to the rules that governed the airline's operations. In the confined space of the cabin, their dialogue became a microcosm of a larger debate, the tension between individual expectations of privilege and the necessity of standardized procedures that treat every customer equally. As the discussion continued, other crew members moved cautiously around the aisle, their presence a silent reminder of the importance of order in an environment that was now on the brink of chaos. Gabrielle's calm determination was evident as she sought a resolution that would respect both the airline's policies and the emotions of the involved parties. "I must ask you to understand that while your loyalty is important, exceptions cannot be made based solely on status," she explained, her voice echoing through the cabin. Sophia's frustration was palpable. She felt that her years of dedication were being dismissed by a system that, in her view, failed to honor her commitment. The atmosphere was charged with conflicting loyalties, between the personal pride of a frequent traveler and the impersonal efficiency of corporate regulations. Gabrielle's challenge was not just to enforce the rules but to bridge that chasm of perception, a task that proved more difficult than anyone had anticipated. In that tense moment, the cabin became a stage for a broader conversation about fairness, entitlement, and the human need for recognition. Gabrielle Torres's intervention, while intended to restore order, only deepened the complexity of the situation. The incident was evolving into a defining moment for all those involved. A confrontation that was as much about personal dignity as it was about the impartial enforcement of rules. And as the dialogue between Gabrielle and Sophia continued, it was clear that the resolution of this conflict would require more than a simple adherence to policy, it would demand an understanding of the deep-seated emotions that underpinned the entire exchange. With tensions running high and the dispute over the seat escalating in intensity, Lena Davis chose to remain as composed as ever. Recognizing that further conflict would not only disrupt the flight but could also jeopardize her upcoming business commitments, she decided to take proactive measures to resolve the impasse. While Gabrielle Torres and Sophia Mitchell continued their heated discussion, Lena quietly retrieved her phone, determined to seek outside assistance that might help defuse the situation. Lena's decision to call for support was not made lightly. Over the years, she had learned that there were times when external intervention could be the key to restoring balance in a volatile situation. Her call was discreet, a silent plea for help that underscored her commitment to maintaining order in an increasingly charged environment. In her mind, the focus had to shift from a personal dispute to finding a resolution that would respect both the airline's policies and the dignity of every passenger on board. As Lena spoke in a calm, measured tone on the phone, she provided a succinct summary of the conflict, emphasizing the importance of upholding the reservation system while also addressing the concerns raised by Sophia. Her voice was a beacon of clarity amidst the chaos, a reminder that even in the midst of confrontation, reason and professionalism could prevail. The person on the other end of the line, an experienced mediator familiar with airline disputes, reassured Lena that steps were being taken to address the matter swiftly and fairly. Meanwhile, back in the aisle, the tension continued to build. Gabrielle Torres, despite her best efforts, found herself caught in the middle of a battle between personal entitlement and established procedure. Sophia's unwavering insistence on her Platinum Elite status had reached a fever pitch, and the other crew members could only watch as the situation spiraled further. Lena's calm intervention, however, had not gone unnoticed by several passengers. Some nodded in approval at her measured response, while others exchanged relieved glances, hopeful that her call for help might bring an end to the turmoil. As minutes passed, Lena's proactive measures began to yield results. The mediator on the phone worked closely with the airline's customer relations team, reviewing the details of both Lena's and Sophia's reservations and looking for a solution that might appease both parties. This back-channel communication, although discreet, became a critical lifeline in an otherwise volatile situation. Lena remained seated, her eyes fixed on the unfolding scene, a quiet pillar of strength amid the rising storm. The impact of Lena's composed demeanor was evident. Even as Sophia's voice continued to ring out with passionate claims, the overall atmosphere in the cabin slowly began to shift. Passengers, who had been caught in the crossfire of heated exchanges, sensed that a resolution was at hand, one that prioritized fairness over entitlement and order over chaos. Lena's call had introduced a measure of accountability, reminding everyone that even in the face of personal grievances, there were established procedures designed to protect the rights of all. Ultimately, the efforts to resolve the dispute reflected not only Lena's commitment to upholding her own rights but also a broader dedication to maintaining dignity and respect in challenging situations. The mediator's intervention, combined with the firm stance of the cabin crew, signaled that the airline was taking the matter seriously. It was a clear message that while individual grievances might be aired, the principles of fairness and equity would always prevail. In that moment, Lena Davis demonstrated what it meant to be a true leader, steadfast, calm, and unyielding in the face of adversity. Her ability to navigate the conflict with a blend of tact and determination set a powerful example for everyone on board. And while the resolution was still in progress, there was a growing sense of optimism that the situation, however fraught, would soon be brought under control through clear-headed communication and a shared commitment to justice. As the dispute raged on, a new figure stepped forward to restore order, the captain of the flight. Recognizing that the situation had escalated far beyond a simple seating disagreement, Captain Robert Hayes emerged from the cockpit to address the passengers and crew directly. His authoritative presence was a reminder that the safety and well-being of everyone on board remained the top priority. Captain Hayes spoke with calm firmness, addressing both parties with equal resolve. "Ms. Mitchell, I must insist that you return to your assigned seat immediately," he declared, his voice echoing through the cabin. His words carried the weight of responsibility and the promise of swift action should the rules not be followed. The captain made it clear that further disruption would not be tolerated and that the established seating arrangements were to be respected. The atmosphere in the cabin shifted once more. Passengers, who had grown anxious as the conflict unfolded, breathed a collective sigh of relief at the captain's intervention. His firm tone and clear instructions left little room for ambiguity. The flight crew quickly moved to support his decision, ensuring that both Lena Davis and Sophia Mitchell understood the gravity of the situation. Captain Hayes's intervention was not merely a command, it was an appeal to the shared responsibility of everyone on board to maintain order and respect for established procedures. He acknowledged the concerns of loyal travelers like Ms. Mitchell, yet reiterated that the airline's policies were designed to be impartial. "Our guidelines ensure fairness for all," he stated, reinforcing that personal status could not override the rules. The captain's decisive action brought the conflict to a temporary standstill. While the tension in the cabin had not completely dissipated, his intervention served as a clear turning point. It signified that the dispute had now drawn the attention of the highest authority on board, and any further deviation from the assigned seating would have consequences. Passengers looked on with a mix of relief and apprehension. For many, Captain Hayes's words were a welcome affirmation of order and the proper functioning of the airline system. His intervention had not only addressed the immediate issue but also restored a sense of confidence that the situation was being managed with care and authority. In the moments that followed, the captain's presence ensured that the cabin slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. The strict enforcement of the seating policy, combined with the supportive actions of the flight crew, signaled that the conflict was being contained. For Captain Hayes, the ultimate goal was to maintain a safe and respectful environment for all, an objective that now seemed within reach. With the captain's intervention firmly in place, the cabin atmosphere shifted from escalating tension to a measured calm. It wasn't long before two corporate representatives arrived on board, tasked with investigating the incident and enforcing accountability. Their arrival marked a significant turning point in the unfolding drama, as they quickly set about restoring order and addressing the mishandling of the situation. The representatives meticulously reviewed all aspects of the dispute, from the initial seating arrangements to the subsequent interventions by the cabin crew. Their investigation revealed that the flight crew's handling of the situation had been less than ideal. As a result, the airline made the difficult decision to take disciplinary action. The representatives announced that the crew members who had mishandled the incident would face termination, a clear message that deviations from protocol would not be tolerated. At the same time, the airline took steps to address the claim of entitlement raised by Sophia Mitchell. After a thorough review of her status and her behavior during the incident, the airline revoked her Platinum Elite privileges. This action was intended not only as a corrective measure but also as a demonstration that loyalty could not be used as a carte blanche to override established rules. The decision underscored the airline's commitment to fairness and impartiality, ensuring that every passenger was treated according to the same standards. Throughout this process, Lena Davis remained the picture of quiet dignity. Her calm refusal to yield her seat, despite persistent pressure, had been vindicated by the subsequent investigation. Passengers and crew alike recognized that her steadfast adherence to policy was the cornerstone of the resolution. Lena's example of composure and integrity had not only upheld her own rights but had also set a standard for how conflicts should be managed. The fallout from the incident extended beyond immediate disciplinary measures. The airline's decisive action sent a strong signal to all passengers and employees alike. Established procedures and the principles of fairness were paramount. The revocation of Sophia's status and the firing of the crew members who mishandled the situation served as a powerful reminder that loyalty and privilege did not grant immunity from the rules. As the corporate representatives concluded their investigation, they assured everyone on board that steps were being taken to prevent similar incidents in the future. The incident had exposed vulnerabilities in the airline's policies and highlighted the need for better training and clearer protocols. Passengers were left with a sense of cautious optimism. While the dispute had been unsettling, it had ultimately resulted in meaningful accountability and a commitment to improvement. In the days following the tumultuous flight, the airline wasted no time in implementing sweeping changes. The high-profile incident, which had seen a confrontation between a steadfast traveler and a demanding frequent flyer, had prompted a thorough internal review of company policies. Determined to restore trust and demonstrate a commitment to diversity and fairness, the airline announced a comprehensive new training program for all staff members. At a press conference held by the airline's executive team, spokesperson Daniel Reed detailed the changes that were about to be introduced. "We have learned valuable lessons from this incident," he explained. "It has become abundantly clear that our procedures must not only be robust but also sensitive to the diverse needs of our passengers." Daniel emphasized that the new program would focus on inclusivity, cultural sensitivity, and the fair application of policies, ensuring that every traveler felt respected and valued. The revamped training program was designed to address the shortcomings exposed during the flight. Crew members would undergo regular workshops on customer service excellence, conflict resolution, and bias awareness. The aim was not simply to enforce rules, but to foster an environment where every passenger, whether a seasoned frequent flyer or a first-time traveler, could expect a consistent and respectful experience. For Lena Davis, the incident had served as a powerful reminder of the importance of standing by one's principles. Her calm demeanor and commitment to fairness had not only been vindicated by subsequent actions but had also become a catalyst for positive change within the airline. Industry analysts noted that the airline's willingness to take swift disciplinary action and to revise its training protocols was a clear signal that it was listening to its customers. Passengers responded to the news with a mix of relief and cautious optimism. The public reaction underscored the need for companies to balance strict policy enforcement with a genuine commitment to empathy and diversity. The airline's decision to revoke unwarranted privileges and to hold its crew accountable was seen as a step in the right direction, one that promised to redefine how loyalty was rewarded in a fair and equitable manner. As part of the policy overhaul, the airline also announced plans to introduce a revised customer feedback mechanism. This new system would allow passengers to share their experiences more directly and ensure that any grievances were addressed promptly. The goal was to create a culture of continuous improvement, where lessons from one incident could lead to broader changes in service and policy. In the end, the corporate response to the incident went beyond mere damage control. It sparked a broader conversation about fairness, accountability, and the role of customer loyalty programs. The changes implemented promised not only to prevent similar conflicts in the future but also to create a more inclusive and respectful travel experience for all.